This is going to the forgotten people and the forgotten places. This is doing it to the least of things. Yeah. This is helping people with the understanding that you're not doing it because you're looking to get something back, even though you do get something back. We're located, our main campus is Heartland Christian Center out of Valparaiso, Indiana. And then we have 4 other campuses around that area. The Sunshine Center, again, is based out of the Valparaiso area. And my wife and I have been married, be celebrating 51 years in June. And our oldest daughter, Sunshine, was born in 1977. And so we've walked this life with a child with disability. She was born with Down syndrome. Give you just a little brief history. In 1977, state of Alabama, I'm a 22-year-old young guy. My wife's 20 years old. We're serving God. We're out in the community, doing what we feel God led us to do. And our first child is going to be born. Normal pregnancy, everything's good up to the birth. And when Sunshine was born, they're right outside of Birmingham. The doctor comes in the room where I'm sitting, and that was back before men was allowed to go into the birthing part.
Is this when you would still pass out cigars in the waiting room and all that? I wanted to do that, and they were like, "You can't smoke in the hospital. Yeah. What are you doing?"
You would sit far away from the impact. I don't know what crazy person come up with the idea that men should actually be there, but this was back when you could be away in a different room. But the doctor came out. He said, "Mr. Willingham said your wife's okay. Your little girl is born, but she's a mongoloid child." They didn't use the word Down syndrome, 48 years ago. It was the term mongoloid, and she's retarded. And said, "I'm gonna be back in the morning, and we're going to discuss what needs to be done." And I was in shock. I was just brokenhearted, because everything you've heard about children born with any type of disability, it was just kind of streaming through your head. So I go home, come back the next day. The doctor meets with my wife and I, Rhonda, and brings in a death certificate and said, we're gonna sign a death certificate today. We're gonna dismiss you and your wife from the hospital, and you go home and live your lives, and we're gonna take your daughter and put her in the instant. Yes. This was 48 years ago.
Holy smokes.
Sad to know, but that was almost a normal thing to do.
They would take children with Down syndrome and just institutionalize them.
Or any type of retardation that they felt like, because they told my wife and I, she'll never walk, she'll never talk, she'll never be sociable. Your daughter has Down syndrome. She's got a heart issue. She probably won't live very long. The whole conversation was built around, you don't need to carry this weight, have this burden. You go live your lives, and we're going to put your daughter. They had an institution at that time in the Birmingham area. And it took my wife and I about 3 days to finally get out of the hospital, because they wanted to do a psychological evaluations on us. And, we can't believe you ain't doing this, and you're wanting to go. So
the fact that you wanted to leave with your daughter, they were shocked.
Yeah, they were shocked.
Which is heartbreaking, because that means the majority of people would just give their children away with, Yeah,
and even today, fast forward, 48 years.
Well, we abort children with Down syndrome, right?
Doctors. They're one of the highest numbers of abortion happening with Down syndrome.
It's the same thing the Greeks used to do. Like, they would throw these babies off of cliffs, right? You're born with some sort of hereditary problem, and they would just say, well, we're going to throw you off. And we look at that culture, and we think that that's so awful. And yet we're doing the same thing through abortion. Well, with ultrasound shows that your child's got some disability, might as well kill your child, murder your child. Yeah. It's crazy.
It is. And the sad thing about it is that there are parents who choose that route. And the other thing is there are parents who say, no, this is my child, we're going to take them. And yet, fast forward now, 48 years later, our daughter Sunshine works in our preschool that we have at our church there in Valpo. She works in the office with us. She sings on the worship team. She's very relational, very social person, because Not because my wife and I were so smart and intelligent. We did a great job. Just because we brought her in to our family. She was our family. She was our firstborn. Now we have another son, another daughter. So we have 3 children that were born after her. But we move forward with our life knowing there's challenges ahead. Yeah. But we're going to face those challenges. Yeah. So fast forward 48 years. We've always had some type of programs and ministry we do. Micah, divorce is high in our culture today. Divorce among parents with kids with disabilities is even higher. Because a lot of families struggle.
It's very stressful.
One or two things happen. We noticed, my wife and I over the years have did family programs and parent and relationship things. You get in the blame game, number one. You get to looking whose fault is this type thing, and that brings hostility. That brings you get one of the other spouses just kind of withdrawing and living in denial. That can cause a family to split. Or more likely than not, one of the things that happens, and even still in our culture today, the predominant care of a child that's born with some type of disabilities often flows to the mom. And the mother ends up throwing herself into this child to protect, to take care of,
to nurture,
to champion them, to nurture them. So all of a sudden, the relationship between
husband and wife
begins to suffer. Yeah. And then if they do have other children come up, guess what? A lot of times those children suffer because mom's spending all their time taking my brother and my sister to the doctors and to this school and to this special program. So there's challenges there. So about 7 years ago, talking about the Sunshine Center, we really felt like it was time to do something more. We didn't know quite what that more was. We did our own, hired a company to come and do a feasibility study for us in Northwest Indiana, and we identified in Porter County, Lake County, Stark County, and LaPorte County. Those are areas where we have some type of ministry impact happening. 100,000 kids was identified between the age of kindergarten to 18 years old. 100,000 kids.
With disabilities.
Has some type of disability. Wow. Autism, physical disability, mental.
You know what I heard yesterday? This last week, this is going to air in a couple days, but last week when RFK Jr. came to Indiana, he was just here, and he said that there are some states now that 1 in 20 children born have autism.
Yeah.
It used to be 1 in 10,000 when he was a child.
Sure.
And there's something terribly wrong going on right now, whether that's through the food that we're eating, whether that's through the vaccines that we're getting. Something is terribly wrong in our, but to your point, you're saying you told me like one in
44, I think in Indiana has been identified, they identified.
With autism? Or,
yes, with some type that's autism, some type of disability.
Holy smokes.
1 in 44. And then, like I said, just in our 4-county area, 100,000 kids.
Okay.
And then as we dug deeper, there was 2 things that stood out, depression and obesity. And depression happens in a lot of these kids and a lot of these families even because the relational network that these children have the opportunity of building is really small. Think about most kids have a predominant caregiver. It's usually a parent. Sometimes it ends up being a sibling as the siblings get older, or the child, if the family is more than just one child. But their relational network is very small. So these kids, if they get to go to school, and most of them have some type of school, more and more parents are trying to homeschool their kids now because our schools are overwhelmed. I think they're doing a great job with what they can do sometimes. Yeah. We try to network with our local school network there where we at. But they go to school, then they come home. They go to school, they come home. They go to the doctor, they go for therapy. Their relational expansion is very small. And a lot of times depression is really high in these kids because, again, sad, like a lot of other kids, the screen becomes the babysitter for them, activities. Some of these kids have very little. So depression is there. And then the other side was obesity, lack of places to go and be active and to be a kid. One of the things that we notice, and then in just the study and then our own conversation with families, as a parent, you spend time taking your child to school, taking them to the doctor's appointments, pardon me, or taking them to physical therapy or some type of speech therapy. And they're doing all this stuff. They don't have no place to just be a kid.
Yeah.
I think I was sharing with you or Tyson earlier about we've all been to the ball games where the child with autism or some type of disability, they let him wear the shirt. He gets to dress for the team. He always sits on the bench. He never gets in the game to the last minute, last 30 seconds. The opponent knows about it. The opposing team knows about it. They're going to get him the ball, and he shoots or she shoots. And whether they make it or not is such an aha feeling. It's such a and so we got
the place erupts, right?
Yes,
The whole
just
stadium.
Like,
whole
yes,
stadium.
you know, he got an opportunity to be with the normal kid.
Yeah.
And so we got to thinking, what could it be? What could answer the relationship side and the physical activity side? So thus, the Sunshine Center is a 27,000 square foot sports facility, a gym, inside gymnasium. We have about 350 kids right now that we're currently either through our soccer program, through our homeschool network program, through our Parents Night Out program. Some of the programs we're doing, about 350 kids. So we know the need is much more than that, but we're trying to do something. This facility will have an indoor gymnasium, an indoor track, walking track. It'll have 4 sensory rooms in it. And get this, one of the unique things we're putting in this about 3,000 square foot workout facility, exercising facility for parents, particularly for moms. So guess what moms don't have time to do? They don't have time to go to Planet Fitness. They don't have time to go to spin. They don't have.
And Planet Fitness is super far left, so you don't want to go to Planet Fitness anyway. So you know,
you're probably right. But what we realize is these moms, and there are some dads. A lot of dads step up. I'm not saying they don't, but a lot of these moms don't have any time to go and take care of self-care.
Yeah.
So while your child's in one of our programs, an hour and a half or whatever, this facility will be open to you free of charge, and you come there and you work out.
Wow.
Big glass windows you can see outside the gym. Sensory rooms will be designed. We have one life skills room. Again, one of the things that we're trying to target right now with this particular Sunshine Center is the ages of preschool and up to about 18. We'll have one of our sensory rooms will be a life care room, just teaching life skills, teaching these kids. You'll be amazed how much it will help parents if a child could get themselves ready or know how to make a bed or know how to brush their teeth. Just self-care stuff that a lot of times in schools, our daughter was all the way in middle school before they started doing any life skill, when Sunshine was in school. And a lot of times the programs that the school offer will address that. A lot of times it's much older. We want to try to help at the young, because a lot of times these kids can do something. They may not be able to do it perfect or do all of it. They can do something. So the sensory rooms will be designed for that. The walking track, particularly in Northwest Indiana, we're building this facility where it's not just for special needs kids. The walking track can be used with our seniors and stuff during the wintertime. Where we're located in Valpo, we're just about 2 miles south of the city. So everything you go, exercising, the Y, things like that, you have to go all the way to the north side of town. A lot of people in the southern part of the county would be able to come through there, use that facility to walk in during the wintertime, exercise. Summertime when it's hot, they can do the same thing. The Special Olympics, Porter County Special Olympics is the largest Special Olympics in the state of Indiana, Northwest Indiana, Porter County.
Wow.
And again, one of the things that they lack is having facilities to go and do some of the activities and things with these kids to be able to utilize that. YMCA's, Boys, Girls Clubs, they're great programs. They do a great job. But guess what happens? Most of their spots get filled up with, quote, the normal kids. So a parent shows up with a child with disabilities and, I'm sorry, we don't have any room in our programs, or they don't do any unified, hardly, I say, well, they don't do any. There's rarely you find programs at centers like that do unified sports. That's one of the things that we want to try to do is a unified sport. Bring your children with disabilities and network them and group them with, quote, normal kids and let them be kids and enjoy, but then also be part of a team sport, get to celebrate the victory, and also understand what it is to get defeated. I coached the team at one of our area gyms last winter, a 3rd and 4th grade basketball team. We had 11 players, and 5 of my 11 players had some type of autism. And but you network with them with these other 6 guys, and you know how to coach without over dominating, letting a lot of these kids get oversensitized, especially with autism, to noise or too much pressure and stuff, and knowing the boundaries you could go. These kids loved it. Parents loved it. It was just a win-win right there.
Yeah.
So that's in a nutshell.
That's amazing.
That's what we're trying to do.
So I love this because right now in the world of government, what I've learned more than anything else, and I kind of knew this coming into this role as lieutenant governor, but it's all about money. I mean, it's not red or blue, it's green, right? And it is all about money. People come to this state house not because they have some principle that they want to fight for. It's usually because they have some program they need funded, right?
Sure.
And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. Like a lot of these programs are very good programs, but we are in this $36 trillion deficit right now in the nation. The federal funding's getting tightened up because we've been abusing, wasting, fraudulent, abuses of our money. So the state level is starting to feel that. Roughly $26 billion comes from the feds to the state. Well, that might go away, or a lot of that might go away. So what happens? And so people with great passions who are doing incredible work, especially in this special needs community. I love that community. That community is near and dear to my heart as well, just being a youth pastor growing up, serving kids that have special needs. Like, I love that. You're telling me you're doing all of this. And I would imagine, I haven't asked you this question off camera, but you're probably not getting any state funding, or very rare, very little state funding, if at all. Are you? Or how are you funding this?
Yeah, it's been through private donations. It's been through the network and the support we have with our local congregation. Our local congregation, again, Heartland. We're not a mega church. We have about 1,500 people at all of our campuses that would call Heartland their home. But our church has bought into this. 99% of our people have given something to this whole project, because we feel like this is going to the forgotten people and the forgotten places. This is doing it to the least of these. Yeah. This is helping people with the understanding that you're not doing it because you're looking to get something back, even though you do get something back. A lot of times we have what we call sunshine buddies, people who serve volunteers, and they will tell you all the time, I thought I was doing it to help these kids, and it found out it's helping me.
I always tell people, when you're serving, you're getting more back. If you're serving with the right heart, you will get more back than you could ever give.
Sure.
And I hope this resonates with people, and because we started a faith initiatives office out of the lieutenant governor's office. So we have Tyson. You mentioned Tyson Priest, who's our faith initiatives director, and we've taken flack from people in the state, be like, "What are you doing starting this faith initiatives?" We're doing it because this is the answer. Government can't keep propping up these programs that serve the least of these. Why? Because God never designed government to serve the least of these. It was never government's job to take care of the sick, the orphan, the poor, or the widow. It was always the church's job. If government would just get that through its thick skull, that it can't do this very well, so stop trying. But we can encourage, we can inspire, and we can incentivize people like the Dr. Phil Willinghams of the world and the Heartlands of the world to do it. You will do it so much better. And it will be so much rewarding for everyone. You will better serve the community that you're serving, and it will just be this beautiful mosaic of healing and health. And it won't be necessary to spend state dollars on it, which is like, to me, it's like a win-win-win-win, right?
Yeah,
everybody wins, and so. But it's hard to get that through the heads of people who they don't understand the calling that God has placed on government, and they don't understand the calling that God has placed on the church. And they convolute they warp those two, and they think the church or the government should basically become the church. Take care of the orphan, the widow, the sick, the needy. Okay, we can try, but it's going to be super expensive. 60 cents of that every dollar that we typically spend in government to address an an issue, 60% of that usually, up to about 60, I've seen different stats, but it's usually between 50 and 60 cents of that dollar will go to administrative costs, right?
Wow, yeah.
So you're less than half that dollar is actually going to address the root cause of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And whereas church like Heartland, an organization like Sunshine, you know how to make every dollar go as far as it possibly can go, right? And I think that's just a beautiful picture. I love what you're doing. Where are you on this project? So, it's not built yet, correct?
No, sir.
Okay.
No. We're currently, we run all of our programs out of Heartland Christian Center, our facility there, or one of the other campuses. Or we'll network with communities, like we have a bowling alley in one of our communities in Hebron that we've networked there, and they'll open up their bowling alley sometime. We can bring our kids there. So we're in the building process. We have all of our architect plans are done. We're just starting to get into the permitting side of things. Because again, we're trying to pay for this as we go. We want to raise cash money to pay for this. To operate the programs and do what we need to do once this facility is done, the last thing we want to do is have a building payment.
Yeah.
And you got a mortgage you got to pay for. We want to be able for all the funds that flow into it to go directly to the kids and the programs and the events like that. So plans are all done. We're navigating the permitting side of things, hoping, we're believing. We just did another fundraiser event that's helping us kick this down the road a little bit more. But we're hoping to be able to break ground this summer and start the whole building process where this could expedite and happen.
What's kind of the estimated total cost of a project?
It's
like
about
this?
an $8 million project.
$8 million?
So $8 million.
Okay.
We've raised about $1.5 million of that thus far that we've been able to do.
27,000 square feet?
Almost 28,000 square feet.
So $8 million doesn't seem like too outrageously expensive.
It's very reasonable.
Yeah.
Of course, like everything, the longer you have to wait, you're always worried is prices going up, inflation happening. But again, it's even once we get into the building process, we're looking to be able to save some money there, because I think there's some relationships that we're in the process of building that we can get some things donated to us. If not equipment, or if not materials, we can get time and labor and things. I think there's some people that will come along beside us once we get in. So we're hoping to shave that number off. But that's a pretty good number that we think if I had $8 million a day to build a building, it could be built for that.
That's amazing. And what county specifically will the center be in?
Yeah, it will be built in Porter County.
Okay.
There, right outside of Valparaiso.
Okay.
And then our goal is to serve Porter, Lake, Stark, and LaPorte counties.
Okay.
Those are kind of the surrounding counties of us where we're located that we've identified. And then we're building our Sunshine Center network. So I'm a huge opponent, Micah, of how do we put a cake in a box for people? How do we go now and help either other churches take the lead of something? Because we know this is not just a Northwest Indiana problem.
Right.
It's not an Indiana problem. It's in every state. It's in every community. And it's not going away. Autism, disabilities, none of that it's not a fad. It's not like, there's no more problem. No, we know it's here to stay. Yeah. So we're hoping to build this network where we can go and help other churches or other non-for-profits do what we do. Yeah. We're going to show you, hey, this is what we do.
And I hope if there's anybody listening to this, that they're encouraged, because you went in 48 years. How old's Sunshine now?
She'll be 48 in May.
48 years ago, you got seemingly some of the worst news as a parent could ever get when the doctor comes in and says, your child's not normal, right? And that had, to your point earlier, you said it was heartbreaking. It was probably a gut punch. Like, Lord, what are you doing? I'm sure you had those prayers a few days after you got home from the hospital. Lord, why? Yeah. Why us? And now, 48 years later, not only, I would imagine, I've not asked you this either, but you probably could not imagine your life without Sunshine. And nor would you ever wish that, right? No. And look what God has done through you. and potentially continue what he will continue to do through the Sunshine Network and the center.
Yeah.
And I hope families who are maybe getting that news now, or maybe they just got that news, or maybe you're a couple years into having a child with disabilities, to recognize, hey, you don't see the whole picture here. And I just got this vision of, the Lord just kind of saying, okay, Phil and Rhonda, in 1977, they're the people that have the strength to carry a burden like this, that then will produce great fruit and great healing and health for hundreds and potentially thousands of people around Indiana, 48 years later. And so you just don't know the full story. And I hope to the parents that are walking through this now and they're saying, it seems lost, hope seems to be fading away, the stresses of life seem to be beating you down every single day. I hope they hear your story and they think, okay, if God can do it with Phil and with Sunshine, then he can do it with me too, and with my spouse or my kids and my family. And I just, I hope that resonates.
Yes.
And certainly we want the government to be a partner, right? We want to come alongside, but we certainly don't want the government to do it,
right?
Because that's the worst thing. Ronald Reagan said the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are "I'm with the government and I'm here to help," right? Like, if there's ever a government official that shows up at your doorstep, knocks on the door, and says, "I'm with the government, I'm here to help," slam that door right back in their face. Do not let them in. So how could people jump in and get to know more about the Sunshine Center, Heartland Church, and everything you're doing?
Yeah. Well, we have, our website is sunshinecenter.org. You can go there to the website. Certainly we try to keep everything updated on what's happening with the building wise, even with our programs, all the things that we're currently doing that can happen. They can reach out to the website. Our email is there. They could give us a call at 219-462-4500. We'll be glad to answer some questions like that. And just, I think you hit it great, Micah, is just more than anything else, our goal is just to try to help families have hope. Hope, we really believe that hope starts where you begin to realize this may not be what I chose, this may not have been my wish list, but I've got it. This is what's going on. This is what the doctor said about my child. How can I take this and use it and to grow as a person, and then to realize the value? You mentioned Sunshine, just one quick story. Down syndrome children, particularly, she doesn't know how to hold a grudge. Sunshine can get upset. She was with me, 12, 15 years ago when I got my doctor's degree. And she was there that night, and when they put my tassel and said, we introduced Dr. Phil Willingham. She never called me Dad since then. She's always called me Dr. Phil Mason. She's one of the few people that actually uses that. I'm her Dr. Phil.
Oh, I love it.
But she will get upset sometime if we ask her to do something that she don't like something. She'll get upset, and she'll go to her room. She'll shut her door, and Down syndrome do their inward voice. They talk out loud. We talk to ourselves. We kind of mold things down. Well, you'll hear her in the bedroom. She's just talking. 5-10 minutes later at the most, she'll come out, and she'll come and she'll hug me. I'm sorry, Dr. Phil. I love you. I'll do. She doesn't know how to hold a grudge. I'm thinking, I know 40-year-old men that's holding on to stuff for 20 years.